You're now watching the latest updates from Egypt on Qnews. Let's move on to the latest developments. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is heading to Denmark at the start of the European tour that will also include Norway and Ireland, aimed at enhancing cooperation and coordination between Egypt and European countries. Presidential spokesperson Ambassador Mohammed Shinawi has stated that President al-Sisi will sign a strategic partnership declaration between the two countries in Denmark, along with the signing of several cooperation agreements. During his visit to Ireland, President al-Sisi will discuss coordinating positions on international issues and crises of mutual interest. Egypt's Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli has met with the Lebanese Deputy Prime Minister Saad al-Shami in Cairo. Madbouli praised the recent Lebanon ceasefire and emphasized Egypt's support for it. Al-Shami thanked Egypt for its vital assistance during Lebanon's recent conflict, expressing hope for continued support, especially in reconstruction efforts. Both sides discussed potential cooperation in electronic invoicing systems to boost Lebanon's tax revenue. Madbouli welcomed the ongoing bilateral coordination and conveyed his greetings to Lebanese Prime Minister Najib Mikati. Minister of Foreign Affairs Badr Abdelati made a series of phone calls with the foreign ministers of Turkey, Iraq, Iran and the UAE to discuss developments in Syria. Amid the fierce fighting between the Syrian regime, military forces and the opposition armed groups in northwestern Syria. Minister Abdelati has stressed Egypt's firm support for the Syrian state and the importance of respecting its sovereignty, unity and territorial integrity, also emphasizing the importance of protecting civilians in Syria and stressing the need for both regional and international efforts to unite in order to halt the escalation. Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati and his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov have discussed the latest developments in Syria, especially the latest events unfolding in the north of the country. Minister Abdelati has reiterated Egypt's firm stance to support the Syrian state, its sovereignty and the unity and territorial integrity of its land. He emphasized the critical importance of protecting civilians in light of the severe repercussions these developments have on the security and the stability of Syria and the entire region. Badr Abdelati has emphasized the importance of economic cooperation between Egypt and the European Union, addressed the European Union's swift disbursement of a first tranche of financial support for Egypt. The minister also spoke of furthering communication to ensure the European Parliament's approval of the second tranche, which amounts to €4 billion. During a phone call with the EU High Representative of Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, Kaja Kallas, Abdelati stressed the necessity of a ceasefire in Gaza, as well as the importance of respecting the unity and territorial integrity of Sudan. Egypt's Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati and his Eritrean counterpart Osman Saleh have discussed mutual interests in enhancing cooperation across political, economic and trade sectors. That came during a phone call where the two counterparts focused on the strong bilateral relations between the two countries. They emphasized building on Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's historic visit to Eritrea in October, which marked a new phase of cooperation. Both ministers expressed their eagerness for upcoming political consultations and tripartite coordination with Somalia as they discussed regional stability, especially in the Horn of Africa. Badr Abdelati and the Ugandan Minister of Foreign Affairs Henry Okello have signed a joint declaration to enhance bilateral relations and address regional and international developments. The agreement emphasizes regular consultations, exchange visits, and the cooperation in areas such as peace building, counterterrorism, water resource management, and capacity building. Both sides have reaffirmed their commitment to sovereignty, territorial integrity, and independence. Egyptian Minister of Parliamentary Affairs Mahmoud Fawzi has met with the Deputy High Commissioner for Human Rights Nada al-Nashif during his visit to Geneva. They discussed ongoing cooperation between Egypt and the Office of High Commissioner for Human Rights, especially the Technical Cooperation and Capacity Building Programme. The meeting also addressed recent legislative developments, including the National Asylum Law, discussions on a new criminal procedure code, and Egypt's commitment to implementing key human rights milestones, such as reporting on the National Human Rights Strategy and preparations for a 2025 Universal Periodic Review. Egypt has presented its national report to the United Nations Committee on Migrant Workers' Rights during the 39th session in Geneva. The Egyptian delegation, led by Khalid El-Bakli, included representatives from various ministries and agencies. Egypt emphasized its commitment to implementing the 1993 International Convention enhancing migrant workers' rights, and improving their conditions. The committee praised Egypt's efforts and offered support, especially in addressing challenges related to climate change. Egypt reaffirmed its dedication to ongoing dialogue and recommendations for migrant worker welfare. Egypt has participated in the International Court of Justice's oral hearings regarding the advisory opinion requested by the United Nations General Assembly on climate change obligations. Assistant Foreign Minister for Climate, Environment and Sustainable Development, Wael Abulmagd, emphasized Egypt's call for justice in addressing climate change and holding historical responsible nations legally accountable. Egypt stressed the importance of compensating developing nations and highlighted the limited financial support offered by developed countries, referencing disappointing outcomes from the recent Baku Climate Conference. The Cairo International Center for Conflict Resolution and Peace Building has held a series of events in Addis Ababa and Cairo during the African Union's Fourth Reconstruction Week. Throughout the week, Egypt has emphasized commitment to post-conflict reconstruction. Discussions included reviewing the United Nations peace-building structure, supporting African priorities like strengthening national institutions, and addressing women's role in peace and security. The center also hosted training on forced displacement in the peace building in collaboration with the UNHCR and the AU Reconstruction Center. Egypt's ambassador to La Paz, Hatem El-Nashar, has joined Bolivian Foreign Minister Celinda Sosa as a keynote speaker in Bolivia. This comes as Egypt hosts the ministerial conference on enhancing the humanitarian response in Gaza and commemorating the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people. Bolivia's foreign minister emphasized the legitimate rights of the Palestinian people, condemned violence and the violations in the occupied Palestinian territories, and also stressed the need for civilian protection and humanitarian aid. Al-Nashar discussed Egypt's efforts to alleviate Palestinian suffering and reiterated the necessity of ending the Israeli aggression and respecting international law. The Central Bank of Egypt has directed a number of banks in Egypt to activate receiving the remittances of clients and crediting them immediately into the bank accounts of customers. CBA stated that Egyptians living abroad will be able to transfer money to Egypt through the bank's instant payment network and benefit from all digital financial transactions. Egypt and Tajikistan have strengthened economic ties by signing 3 key agreements during the 3rd session of their Joint Committee for Economic, Scientific and Technical Cooperation. Egypt's Minister of Planning, Rani al-Mashat, and Tajikistan's Minister of Economic Development, Zafki Zafkazoda, signed agreements to boost trade, economic partnership and cooperation in macroeconomic forecasting, the digital economy and regional integration. A joint work plan for 2024-2025 was also signed to enhance investor services and promote investment, along with a customs cooperation agreement to streamline trade and improve procedures through information exchange. The National Telecommunications Regulatory Authority, NTRA, has officially launched eSIM technology in the Egyptian market. The introduction of eSIM represents a major step forward in Egypt's digital transformation and efforts to enhance telecommunications services. One of the main benefits of eSIMs is that it allows users to switch telecom operators easily without the need to replace a physical SIM card. Users can activate the eSIM simply by scanning a QR code, thus reducing the reliance on physical SIM cards. Data from the Central Agency for Public Mobilization and Statistics, CAPMAS, has indicated that Egypt's corn imports amounted to about $1.444 billion during the period from January to last August. Corn imports in the first 8 months of 2024 were $1.708 billion, down from $263.3 million from 2023. Meanwhile, wheat imports totaled $3.119 billion, up $651.9 million from $2.467 billion in the same period last year. Egypt's food industry exports have reached $5.1 billion from January to October 2023. According to the Food Export Council, this represents an increase of $770 million, marking the highest growth rate and export value in the sector's history. The figure reflects an 18% growth compared to the $4.3 billion recorded in the same period in 2022 and exceeds the total food exports for all of 2022, which stood at $5.068 billion by over $30 million. That brings us to the end of our news bulletin. Here's what we've been covering. President el-Sisi begins a European tour visiting Denmark, Norway and Ireland to strengthen cooperation. Egypt's Prime Minister discusses ceasefire support and reconstruction with Lebanon's Deputy Prime Minister. And Egypt's Foreign Minister emphasizes Syria's sovereignty and civilian protection. That's all for now. Remember to stay updated by following Qnews for the latest developments on all the social media platforms. Thank you for watching.